warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another exciting talk by UTM Center for Student Innovation and Technology Entrepreneurship, UTMXcite. We are very fortunate today, Alhamdulillah, given time for another very interesting talk and sharing session by a great entrepreneur in the era of IoT. Our renowned speaker today is Dr. Mazlan bin Abbas, the co-founder and CEO of Favoriot, Sdn Bhd, a leading IoT company in Malaysia. Dr. Mazlan was our UTM alumni for his PhD in 1993 and a bachelor degree in 1984. And he obtained his master degree in the University of Essex, United Kingdom in 1986. So everybody, let's welcome Dr. Mazlan to be online with us today. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. How are you?
Waalaikumsalam, sihat, alhamdulillah.
I hope everything is okay over there. So, yeah. Dr. Mazlan was an associate professor for about 10 years, UTM associate professor for 10 years before he jumped to the industry. And he was also our adjunct professor in UTM for 2018 until 2013. As well as he sit as Industry Advisory Panel, IAP, for several local universities in Malaysia, including UTM. Before Favoriot, he spent 2.5 years as CEO of Redtone IoT and 8 years in Mimos Berhad as Senior Director in Wireless Communication Cluster. He also spent 13 years in Celcom as a mobile operator, handling many senior management positions. He is also top and ranked among top 50 global thought leader on the Internet of Things, February 2019, and Digital Disruption, October 2019, by Tinker 360. And he also is a 50 top most impactful smart city leader by World CSR Congress 2017, and ranked top 10 in IoT top 100 influencer by Postscape 2017 and 2018 in a row. And he's also ranked as number 20 in thought leader in IoT by 2014 by Analytics report, the Internet of Things top 100 thought leaders. He also nominated as a UTM Alumni Industry Personality 2016, and he is currently one of the Global Vision Board member in 2017. So Dr. Mazlan is the right person to talk about IoT. So everybody is so excited to listen to the talk, Doctor, from the renowned leader in Internet of Things technology, not in Malaysia only, but in the world. So I'm passing the floor to you, Doctor. InsyaAllah, silakan.
Okay. So thank you very much, Dr. Adib, and thank you very much to UTMXcite. In fact, I'm very excited to to talk today. It has been quite some time that we have arranged for this talk to happen. And Alhamdulillah, today is the day. And I saw that there is one talk early in the morning, which maybe I just missed, but I noticed that it's about IoT also. It's about IT solutions and business. Maybe what I would like to share in the afternoon today is like slightly different. Maybe I would like to share with you the ups and downs of an IoT entrepreneur like myself. And I think a lot of people wonder, if we want to embark on entrepreneurship, especially in the area of technology. In my case, I'm using IoT as my business focus. What are the things that you should do and prepare? In fact, to tell the story, I have to go back to the old days, and I would like to share with you since even before I'm actually an entrepreneur, right? Okay. These are some of the things I would like to share with you. I'm going to divide my presentation into 3 parts of the journey. The first part of the journey is about my product development journey. So this is when it's not in the entrepreneur yet, but I'm involved a lot about developing new product in R&D. So this is where I gain a lot of experience in terms of product development. So in part 2, I will share with you about the real entrepreneurship. this is time when I jump into the bandwagon, I would say. So this bandwagon of entrepreneurship. So it's quite late in my career, but I'm not regretting it. But there's a lot of things that it's not an easy journey. So that's why I would like to share with you. Okay. So in part 3 it's also about the journey of how we market our products and also how we brand ourselves as one of the company in Malaysia, one of the early company, in fact, in developing an IoT solution as also an IoT company. So for a start, let me share with you how the team managed to become the Malaysia's best IoT startup last year. So in ASEAN Malaysia Rice Bowl Startup Awards, we were awarded with this award as the best IoT startup, and so we also as a Malaysia representative in ASEAN region participate in the finals. Okay, so I'll share with you our journey on this. So there are actually 4 phases of my journey. That's what I think Dr. Adi have already explained to you. I divided this journey into 4 phases, in the sense that the phase 1, when I graduated from UTM, I was an academia. So I was a lecturer for 10 years, teaching and also doing research in my area of data communications. So in the second phase of my journey is when I joined the industry. So it's about 13 years. The 2.5 years is later I came back to the industry as in Redtone IoT to be in the telco world. So this is mainly where I was very much involved in the business aspect. So in the third phase is when I joined the government. That was in MIMOS for about 8 years. This is totally around the area of R&D, research and development. And the fourth one is where I embark on my entrepreneurship. So now I'm in the nearly 4 years, 3.5 and above. I think in April next year will be my 4th year. Okay, so I finished my 4th year. So it was quite a long journey. I think if you see the Dr. from 1984, which I graduated as an assistant lecturer. So I was an associate professor of UTM before I left the organization to be in the industry. So I resigned from the university to be in the industry. So I joined Celcom for about 13 years before, in various places, before I say that, hey, can I join the government? So I left the industry and joined the government in MIMOS. Before I say that, okay, I left again from the industry, I joined back to the telco world. There is a reason about that, because I feel that the technology is moving very fast and the industry is also moving very fast. So I'm always excited about technology. So that's why I always be in this technology space. Even when we embarked on Redtone IoT, it was still in IoT business and also in Favoriot in technology also. So totally all my life has been in the technology world, including the entrepreneur. So let's see, what do I learn, in fact? So I think this is something which is quite precious for most of the people. When in your career, I think the most valuable part is when you learn the ups and downs in your journey. So the product development journey is where I would like to share with you. So in the beginning, so that was in the early days, I've never thought in my life that I'm going to be, what do you call that, an entrepreneur. Yeah. So I saw that what attracts me in terms of technology wise is when I was still small, I saw that my father, he's a normal clerk. So he is able to repair television and radio. So I just wonder how he actually learned by himself, not in the university, but I think he learned himself through books, magazines, and all that. And he managed to repair electronic equipments. So I was very fascinated during that time. And I still keep this book, this basic radio book. So sometimes I follow him to the television electronic shops, and he will get this circuit diagram. He will bring back the circuit diagram. And depending on the model of the television that he received from other people, so he will repair this television by himself. So I'm quite fascinated. So when I graduated in UTM in 1994, so I joined the universities as an assistant lecturer. So as an assistant lecturer, so from that day, we were thinking that, hey, can we do something in the universities? Because at that time, it was very early stage where there is not a lot of research is going on in the universities. So I decided to, after I came back from masters, I decided to still pursue my my PhD in telecommunications. So I'm I'm the first graduate of doctorate graduate from UTM to have this PhD in telecommunications. So that was when the time we feel that we should be able to grow our own R&D within the university, within the faculty. Because a lot of times the research has been done from the overseas universities. So we have lecturers who went abroad and came back, but the research still stays at their particular universities. So if we want to build this environment of research and development in the university, so we should be creating and getting more postgraduate students. Yeah. So during these days, when I was there, so I was thinking that what are the main research that we can do? And we were thinking at that time, it was the early days when the analog communications is turning into digital. So maybe most of you might not remember that we are still using modems, but there's a technology that convert into digital. So the modems is now going to be obsolete. So we have totally a digital transmission. So that was the time when you can have even 64 kilobit per second. So for us during that time, 64 kilobit per second is a very fast speed. But anyway, we thought that, can we build a telecommunication switching system in Malaysia? So we started off building what we call integrated services switching system, which is based on ISDN technology, integrated services digital network, or some people call it, I still don't know. So at that time, it was 64 kilobit per second, or you can have 64 times 2, or even you can have E1 or 2 megabit per second. So 2 megabit per second is actually, for us during that time, was a very fantastic speed. But we didn't realize that, if we don't have any experience at all to build a telecommunication switching system. So we just took the circuit diagram from Mytel, and we think that if we can bring in the chipset, we can actually use whatever materials or references within that data book to develop our own switching system. And we didn't realize the scale of the work. So the things that we learned during the period of developing this, we don't have any industrial experience at all to do any product development, but we were very passionate and feel that we want to change something and contribute to the country. And as mentioned just now, we didn't realize the scale of the project. It was, at that time, we're thinking like, can we develop something, a scaled down version of a switching system that we see telecoms is using? Can we develop one that can be a private version, a private switching system? So what we call a PABX, or IS, what we call the digital PABX. Yeah. So it was a very too ambitious project. So we do develop this into a prototype. We managed to, together with the students, we managed a prototype using the chipset, but it's not workable into a system. Of course, because with the number of people that we have, and with the no experience of all the industrial experience, and we don't have any references from anywhere around, in UTM or even the country, we didn't even go out there and ask if there is any way for us to learn from someone else. Yeah, but what we also see that one of the things that we feel is the important things of a teamwork. It's very difficult for anyone to build a product if they want to work it alone. So you need a whole team that is able to focus their work. Maybe most likely they will be working in different modules, and later they will join into making this as a product by itself. So that is very important. So you must have a research cluster. So at that time in UTM, we call it telematics research group. I think Dr. Adib will know that. I think Dr. Adib has changed the telematics research group into a different name, telecommunication research group most likely. But initially, the name is, we call it telematics. Yeah. So the second part of the journey is when I joined the telco company. But again, when I joined the company in Celcom, the department that I'm attached initially is still in R&D. So there's a lot of projects that we've been doing inside R&D. There are things which we do this for our internal usage, but there are things which we think that we can offer this to customer outside. But again, it is still a very what you call a close research R&D environment. So we don't have a lot of experience, even though we are big, but we don't have a lot of experience in doing a real R&D work. One of the things that we are thinking of is that the telco, for example, in Celcom, there are so many communication assets or services, value-added services. The early days, we have SMS. Yeah. So I think SMS even now is being overtaken by WhatsApp. Even the early days, we also have another version called MMS, Multimedia Messaging Service. So that was the days in the 2G era, yeah, in the GPRS days, when the speed is not enough for you even to send a video, maybe only a GIF file or even only images. So multimedia messaging services. But that was the days. But of course, we were thinking that instead of building ourselves, we want to open these value-added services to other developers out there, so that they can come in and create their own, they can create new innovative applications. So we want to build what we call a Celcom Power Circle, a developers community. So we have managed to put up the system, but unfortunately, the day that it was launched, I left the organization too. So I didn't manage to see the whole outcome of the whole project. Yeah. So what the lessons that I've learned in the telco industry is that there's a lot of business opportunities. I think mainly the business opportunities in the B2C area, or business to consumers. I think 80% or more of the revenue comes from B2C. B2B is still growing business. It's not that as easy as B2C, because B2C you might have different packages, and when you launch it, you can gain new customers. But in B2B, you might be more of not normal prepaid, postpaid or prepaid line, but you need to provide solutions to the end customer. So it takes a longer time. So at that stage, we also understand that it was the early days of 2G, and 3G. The technology is too early, so we only have value-added services like SMS, MMS, and GPRS. So we don't have that opportunity to play around with technologies like what we are facing now, but you have like 3G, 4G, and even 5G. And so you have more speed, you have better way to create new innovative applications. So technology at that time might be so limited, applications is going to be limited too. So that's why I think technology is important for you to always keep track of the technology, so you will know when the new technology comes in with the kind of capability and the speed and the capacity, you are able to create new applications, innovative applications that can disrupt the organization. So again, we are still working in a very close enclosure, very close environment. So the talent is insufficient. We didn't go out really and do an outsourcing work and partnership and so on and so forth. So so we can't develop too much in that time frame. So we also have this issue of, you know, as a telco, you have these two things need to balance up. If you have technical people, you want to use your technical people to solve the internal problems or some of the technical issues that the organization is facing, or you want to create new products that you can offer this to new customers. So this is something that we need to balance ourselves. So because there are too many people, the people in the technology side, maybe in the IT and also the network people, they are so busy in the operational daily activities, but they don't have time to dig down in detail in solving some of the very in-depth problem that the company might be facing. So the in-depth thing, most likely they will pass this to the people in the R&D division. But we in the R&D division also was thinking that can we also develop new products that we can offer and sell this to external customers. So that is a balance that we are having, and it's quite limited because the talent is insufficient. So then there is another journey that we have. This is the one that I mentioned to you. It's about the MIMOS, the real R&D journey. What we are proud to say is that, okay, again, I have to revert back slightly. In MIMOS, the charter for MIMOS is to do R&D development. So we do a prototype, we create a prototype that is able to go out to the market, and we get the people from the industry to take the technology and for them to commercialize it further. But unfortunately, during that time, what we are facing is that the industry is not ready to take technologies which is quite complex and for them to continuously upgrade or put on a further roadmap of the product itself. But at the end of the day, what happens since we can't offer this to the industry because the industry is so busy in, you know, creating new revenue streams and all that, they don't have time to create new R&D products, which is quite advanced products. So what happened is that by the end of the day, MIMOS have to take that role of R&D and C. So they have to do all this research, development, and commercialization. So under R&D and C, my job is only in the research portion. So I'm not responsible for the development part. As you know, when you do the research part, where the R is bigger, the D is very small, it's mainly up to a prototype level where you can create new innovative things and you can create more patterns, more intellectual properties. So during that period of time, for 8 years, we developed about 39 research prototypes. And this project have covered into many areas of wireless communications because I'm very focusing on wireless communications. So projects like, it covers like IPv6. As you know that we have moved from IPv4 to IPv6. Even that, we have moved from IPv6 into 6LoWPAN, which is IPv6 for IoT devices. So low-powered wireless area network. So wireless sensor network, at that time it was WiMAX. So WiMAX was a thing. So everyone is trying to push for new technologies like WiMAX that go to market. So we take that opportunity. And then intelligent management system, and then we have net connective radio, mobile cloud, and so on and so forth. So there's so many things that we are excited about in creating patents. So we have more than 130 IP disclosures, which 27 have really patented. The reason being is that because we are working on very in-depth algorithm and also a protocol level that we have managed to create new algorithm and protocols for communication system. And one of the areas that we had built at that time, since we focused on WiMAX, so we create this like a Batman thing. Maybe some of you might remember that. We call it YY. YY is what we call a WiMAX. The Wi-Fi as the hotspot is access point, Wi-Fi as the hotspot, and WiMAX as the backhaul. That's why we call it YY. So when we designed the first product, it was commercialized to the telcos, the WiMAX operators. We found that can we do something better, and based on the basic product, can we create other products? So it become a variant of the products. So initially it was just a normal hotspot. Yeah, you're giving an hotspot, which have a WiMAX backhaul with a very high speed. Then we thought that, okay, can we create instead of normal hotspot, it become hot zone. We can connect all the access point together with relay and become a mesh, so that you can cover a wide area instead only of 100 meters or 50 meters, you can cover 500 meters to 1 kilometer. So it can stand on its own if you want to. Then we thought that, hey, we shouldn't stop at this, and we become so greedy, and then we said to ourselves, hey, can we create more hot zones all together, connected them together and become a metro net? And what if we can connect more devices, and you can even have IoT gateways connected to that hot zone? And this is what we have in our wireless vision. So from a simple product, we get so excited, and we try to build more and more based on the variant of the products. Yeah, so it was quite the, it was quite it's the thing at that time was, people are trying to bridge the gap. So bridging the digital divide, BDD, thought that this communication access should be in the camp areas, villages. So we need to provide a cheaper and affordable way for the villagers to get connected. So using Wi-Fi technology. Yeah. So this is the product that we have said. This is the real one that goes out. But again, sometimes building this product is something that, we got to understand that we really need to feel the ground and to understand the feedback from the people from the outside, and also understand the capability of our talent to build it from inside. Are we able to do this? So by the end of the day, so that is the greed lah. So Abdul Rahman mentioned that is the greed. Because this is the greedy part. So when we started off with the access points, we say that, hey, can we make a variant, what we call a relay? Can we make it wireless hybrid, which have different backhaul instead of only WiMAX? You have 3G at that time. You have different technology at that time. Then you have point to point. You make it a bridge. You have a GPS built in. You make this into an IoT gateway. You make this become a mesh. So there's so many variants. So this is where we fall into the trap of Osborne effect. If you remember the Osborne computer, when they launched the first computer, and even before, when they launched the first computer, they go out to the market, but during that time, they also building another variant or another version of their roadmap. While they are talking to the people out there, they're also telling that this is what's coming in their product roadmap. And what happened is that people don't buy the one that is already commercially available. The customers out there will wait for the next product in the roadmap, because they will think that this product roadmap is much better from the first version. So this is what happened whenever we go out and we are telling people that we have so many things that in our plate, in our roadmap. This is where the roadmap should be really, really, keep this is a secret. So because if otherwise, your customer might be waiting for your next product, and they will not buy the one that's already out in the market. So that's why, like people like Apple that you're seeing now, is that Apple will never release what's in their current product roadmap. So you will only know their product when they launch during that day. Yeah. So that's how. But Apple really is very clever in terms of making their product very secret. So this is what the lessons that we have learned. Yeah. In product development, I think, as you know, there's so many cycles that we need to go through. So the bigger you are in a very big organizations, you might be having to have to go through all this product cycle. Even sometimes you have to go to all the gate processes from the day that you have what's your product proposal together with your ideas and also your budget. You need to go to a gate process to get it approved, and then from your design, once your design has been approved, you go to a prototype, you have prototype to prove, you know, so many gate process until the date that you want to launch it to from alpha version in the lab to the beta version in the outside from the lab. You have to go through all these gate processes, and it's killing a lot of product if you're doing that in hardware. Sometimes a single product like that can go into the market after 2 years period, so it's a very long period of time. So I think that's something that we need to realize in product development. Sometimes, you know, too much gate process will kill a lot of innovation, and sometimes you can't compete with the people that's going out in the market that's faster than you. So the lessons that we learned, yeah, it's a very costly thing and a very long period of time. Sometimes people didn't realize that a research prototype that wants to go into a commercialization stage, it will cost them 10 times more. Yeah, a prototype level can be 1 million, but sometimes once after you want to go and launch it, commercialize, and you know, go to marketing and all that with all the costs and all that, you can maybe cost you about 10 million. You know, so it's the same thing. You know, 100,000 ringgit can even come at 1 million ringgit. Actually, once it goes into a commercialization period. Patents on the shelf. So I mentioned to you earlier that we have created a lot of patents, you know, a lot of disclosures. What happened is that but the research people are not responsible to develop it further, because you need to have a different skill of people to turn your prototype of research prototype into a commercialized, ruggedized, reliable product, which can go to commercial. So you need a different group of skills of people. That is the developer people, the development side. So that's why a lot of times when we have created the patents and generate so much, but we have issues also to commercialize into the market, because the development people are also busy in developing the current product. They can't even help you in terms of incorporating new patents inside the product itself. So it takes a longer time. So by the end of the day, your patents go into the shelf. So that's what happened when you see that the government says, oh, so much patents that have been created by the universities, by whatever, but we are not able to commercialize it. So number of patents takes a longer time for them to turn the real patents into a real product. And again, if you have teams which, you know, I'm responsible for the research, another head is responsible for development. So you have different KPI. So when you have different KPI, so you are unable to allocate enough resource and to allow your patents to go into the development part. And as I say, if there are so many gate processes, there's going to be a problem. So if you become non-agile, so you must be a very agile organizations to make sure that you can even launch a product very fast. You can create a minimum viable product and launch to the market in a very short time. So again, as I mentioned to you, don't fall to this trap of Osborne effect. Yeah, and we didn't realize the one that we have mentioned to you is only the access point, but we go beyond than that. We go and thinking of developing an access network. We are thinking of building a WiMAX chipset. So many resources, so much resources are being put into from a single chipset into a whole big system. And we do understand that during this period, we saw that there is organization like E3, the one in Korea and Taiwan. They are the people who have hundreds and sometimes thousands of people just to work on a single product. Yeah. And again, as I mentioned to you, when we start with that access point as a Wi-Fi, we should stop to expand it further to make it into a bigger coverage, because as you know, telecommunication technology, Wi-Fi have its own capacity coverage size. So to make it bigger coverage, you need a different technology. So sometimes it's just a normal 3G or 4G network. You might have even to cover the whole jungle. You might use satellite. So why should be using something which is limited of the current capability to extend it further? So sometimes we have this wrong mindset of trying to, a solution in search of a real problem. So later, after that, I joined to the telco company. I left Memos, but I have gained a lot of experience in building a product. So we were thinking of, hey, at that time, a telco like Redtone, they are now thinking of expanding their business instead of just a normal infrastructure provider, to become a digital services provider. So they allow me to set up a subsidiary called Redtone IoT. So that time was in 2014, 2015. So we are the earliest company to build IoT solutions, but we were focused very much at the time was building using a mobile phone and a platform. So that was when we focused ourselves in building solutions for smart city. So we have a platform that we have built. We also have solutions that we can use, what we call City Act, to make a reporting using a geofencing capability to make reports from the citizens and allow them to the reports to be escalated to the city councils and so on and so forth. Yeah. So the lessons that we learn for that is that in a telco environment, in a subsidiary environment, sometimes we also feel that, when we launch this, we launch it big. We feel that don't go for fancy launching, because a lot of launching is huge. Because if you are not prepared, you are unable to leverage that launching period, and sometimes go down to waste when the real customers are not prepared to accept your product. So in big organizations too, we have this issue of working in silos, and sometimes you if you don't leverage the other party, you might be working and trying to not compete, but you are having a lot of problems in accessing a similar customer segment. Sometimes like IoT, go across to many industries. So you might have you should be leveraging other divisions who already have access to their potential customers and do a cross-selling. So because we are actually a technology provider, so we did not take that cross-selling and bundling opportunity during that time. So we should have that. Yeah. And thirdly, we are unable to leverage the whole group synergy because, as I mentioned to you, there are various divisions, the capability, and they have different subsidiaries that we should be, for example, like Redtone, they are under Berjaya. Berjaya have so many subsidiaries around them. So we should be able to, provide the same services to the rest of the group in Berjaya. And again, I think, as I said, I think since day one, I was really in technical part, not really in the business part. So I really underestimate that sales funnels, the enterprise sales funnels, which is a very long sales cycle. So I didn't realize that sometimes it's going to take you more than 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even 1 year, even to close a sales for an enterprise. So it's a very long and tedious work. So in part 2 of my journey is where the real IoT startup journey is. In part 2, this is what interesting. So this is when I have that leap of faith. What happened is that in the end of 2016, I made the Silicon Valley trip together with MDEC. So during that period, we were, going over there and to see how companies in the Silicon Valley, startups in the Silicon Valley can become big, to learn the experience of their ups and downs and how they build the whole ecosystem. So we also have that opportunity for us to present our product, pitch that in one of their session over there. So we were quite surprised. So during this period of time, I've never thought about, building a startup. But, after looking at all the things that, and the whole ecosystem, like plug and play, this plug and play is an accelerator place. So you can see a Dropbox there. As you know, Dropbox is such a huge company, a billion-dollar company, but they started off in a very small cubicle inside Plug and Play. So I can see that all the famous logos over there in Plug and Play, that the logos and the applications that we're using come from that particular place. So you feel very excited and very inspired by them, and you feel that, hey, if they can do it, why can't we, right? So that is when that thought came in. So together with my co-founder was there also. So he was thinking and asking me, hey, let's go and build our own startup. So I told them that, you know, I'm already very late in my career to jump into a startup, because a lot of startups have been built by young people. So I asked these questions to them, and they said, no, startup doesn't require you to have, you know, what age that you want to to build your own company. So it doesn't matter whether you're still young or whether you're old or whether you're middle age, or it doesn't matter. So it took me quite some time to make that decision. And finally, when we returned to Malaysia, we made that decision. So myself, I have my Dr. Gopi as the CTO and also the co-founder, and also Datuk Wei, he was with Redtone too. So he's the former managing director of Redtone. So he also my partner to build Favoriot. Yeah. So this is when we started off our journey. So during this period of time, we were thinking, okay, since we want to set up a company called IoT company, what business are we going to be in? What product that we want to build? So during that period, we were thinking that, can we do something to help the senior people? So this is when the idea of helping senior people. So we do understand that there's a lot of people that gone missing because Alzheimer. So all people that goes out from their house, when they come back, they also sometimes they don't know their house. So a lot of people in China, for example, elderly people go missing in China. So we understand that when they're old, when they fall down, no one is able to help them. So we have children who are also very busy working, so they want to have some peace of mind of how to monitor their their parents who are actually living at home. So this is where the idea of, you know, when we look at the market is such a big market, because the whole world is becoming an aging population world. Yeah. So how can we make, allow technology, using technology for people who wants to age at home, aging in place, we call it. So rather than the people who's living in the care center, of course, when they're living in the care center, there's people who's going to take care of them 24/7. But if they are living at home, we must have some means of technology to monitor them. So how can we let them live alone but not being left alone? So this is when we started off, thinking of using a wearable device. Instead of building our own hardware, we think of, since we have our own IoT platform, can we use that platform but use a third-party wearable device? So that third-party device have the capability to alert you when a person falls down. But somehow that first version of the hardware is too huge, and people don't like the idea. So we at that time we think that, okay, we need to find a new model. So to search a right hardware that is able to connect to our platform, which is open enough to work with our platform. So let me share with you some of the IoT products that we built. We have this, what we call FavorSense, we have Rakit, we have Dscover, and we have also an IoT platform. Yeah. So the first one I would like to share with you is about the IoT platform. This is the main platform that we have built, because on top of building our own internal applications, we were thinking of, can we use this platform and open it up, create an ecosystem, allow others to build their own solution using our platform. So this platform become a platform as a service. So instead of, so you will see, like, these platforms can create more vertical applications. Yeah. So you want to create that because this platform is so much is horizontal. What it does is that it allows devices to be connected to the platform easily. So we make it simple enough to connect using whatever protocols that they have, HTTP or CoAP or MQTT. And we use this platform which sits in the cloud. This platform is a middleware that sits in the cloud. And it manages the devices down there and also allows you, it gives an open API to allow developer to create their own applications. So they will extract the data. After they have collected the census data, they can create their own applications, their own vertical applications. So you can use your own analytics engine, you can use your own mobile app, you can use your own visual dashboard if you want to. Yeah. So the idea is for us to make it simple. So that instead of only one organizations can build, you can create thousands of people to build these applications using your platform. Instead of taking you months to develop the platform, it can take you only weeks to develop it because you don't have to think about building another platform. You just use the platform. So the API is quite friendly. So when we thought about this, we see that we also have problems within our country. Is that we are lacking talents to build this. So because a lot of universities, most likely, they are still learning of how to create, understand IoT, how to build IT solutions. So now we are offering this platform back to the universities, and for them to use this platform because there's a lot of tutorial documentations and whatever that they can use to quickly get them on board and learn about IoT and how to create their own applications. So now we are creating more and more talents around the world, in fact. So when we started off building this in 2017, we have very difficulty to make it go beyond 500 for the next 2 years until we make it open up. We make it clear that the developers out there can use it. And now we have seen that about more than 109 countries are using the platform. Yeah. So we have more than 3,600 people using this platform from different countries around the world. So we are creating what we call that an ecosystem so that people are aware about, because there are a lot of, maybe most likely there are about 400 platforms around the world, and people get confused what platform that they can use. So we encourage them to come on board. You guys, if you are technical, you can just use this because there are packages which is free plan that you can join this and use this platform so that you can create your own IoT solution. So we are what we call creating this generation IoT. So then we also have our own vertical applications. So we continue our idea of CTX and CitySense that we built in Redtone IoT. So we expand this platform to cater for other engagement, kind of applications. So now with this, you can have a reporting. So it's a good workflow. When you use a mobile app, you can make reports, and this report will send to a platform administrator who will assign and escalate this to the field force. So the field force will open up their jobs, and once they have closed the jobs, they will pass it back to the admin and say that I've done my job, so you can close the case. So the people who make the report will know where exactly your report is. So you can see the timeline, whether the report has been acknowledged, whether the report has been closed, or even whether the report has been rejected. So this will ease the administrator or ease the people who, rather than you call again and again to the call center stating, hey, what happened to my report? You can see that in your mobile app. You can see the status of that in the mobile app. So the data that you have collected, you will see the pain points of a city, for example, a pain point of an organization. What are the problems that people will always face? So this has been extended not only for city councils, we manage this for other solutions. So again, like I mentioned just now, that Rakib that we started off was called Favoriot. Favoriot is meant for monitoring the elderly. This is the problem statement that I mentioned to you earlier. But then we found out that, hey, can it also monitor a similar applications, which is meant for the Hajj. So that's why we changed the name to Rakib. Rakib is meaning watching you. Yeah. So that is a similar solutions that we can build on top of this. And then we use the Favoriot Sense to be connected to our Favoriot platform and also connected to the Rakit Watch. So the Rakit Watch have changed it slightly. So what happened is that there are a few challenges. When building a solutions like this, you've got to understand many things. It's not about product itself, but it's also going out and understand what the user really wants. So building a solutions like this for Hutch, you got to understand a device like this should use a single device, or you should use a watch and also a phone. So we were thinking only a single device. So a single device where the people just wear it, someone else can monitor that using their own mobile app. So people just wear this just like a normal watch. So it has a GPS, it monitors where you are. So it has other parameters also to monitor your health pattern. Yeah? You have a button of SOS, you press a button, you can send the SOS to your spouse or to your tawif. So we got to understand a mobile device like this needs to have a capability to roam. You can subscribe from your Malaysia, but you also have the capability to roam in Saudi Arabia. So it's also a challenge. So we need to work with an operator to ensure that it has the capability to roam into this network. And then we need to, because it's to understand, we need to go there and have a feeling of how it works really in Saudi Arabia. So we had that trial period. I was there also. We have also other people who's trialing this and testing it out. So there are other countries that we have tried it, and not only because we were thinking of targeting not only Malaysia, Hajj pilgrims from India, Maldives, Egypt, Bangladesh, and Thailand can also use this. Yeah. So we got to understand also the user behavior, how they use it, what are the things that they want to monitor. Are they monitor the parameters of health or also of safety? And then we need to understand how to go to the market, the business model. You want to make sure that it is only meant for subscription based, or you want to sell it off one-off, or you want to have a rental model. So rental model is very difficult because you need to always clean up the watch and allow others to use it. Sometimes people are, during the case of COVID-19, people just don't want to reuse other people watch. Yeah, so you need to clean it up. So most likely people will buy it. And then we have Dscover. Dscover is slightly different. Dscover, when the idea came up, we were thinking of solving only the problem of location safety. So instead of having parameters to monitor like health, can we just use your mobile app, your mobile device to monitor where is your location? So we started off with the idea of travel and tourism. So when you travel with your tourist guide, you will know where your tourist guide, and tourist guide will know where the group members are in a group. So everyone is wearing this so that wherever they are, they feel very safe, that they will know exactly where you are. So you can download Dscover if you want to. It's free. You can download it either in iOS or Android to try it out. So you can do this for your own family. Yeah. So the idea is that you can see the group members by invitation. So if you allow the group members to see their location and where they are, you can also see their traveling pattern, where they have been, and you can create a geofencing. Whenever they reach to a certain particular place, you will get notified. So instead of reminding where they are, whether they have arrived or not, you will get notified whenever they are within that location. So now, since COVID-19, we have also to quickly understand that if tourism is a problematic industry, we need to pivot ourselves and to ensure that, because there is no more, it's very difficult situation. The travel and tourism are very much affected. So we have changed that, and we have made this into a friends and family thing. Yeah. So the lessons that we have learned during this period of time is that we have to be very agile. So we can't be like the time when I was with Mimos, because Mimos, most likely you have, very huge team. So in startup organization like this, we are very agile. So we are very fast in making sure that we can develop solution fast. Sometimes within 3 months, you can see the product out. But you must also find the product market very fast. Otherwise, you'll be developing the product and feeling that the product is not going to be used by the market. determine the right pricing strategy. So there are various pricing way that you can make it out. Sometimes, it can be like OPEX based, CAPEX based, subscription based, or different model that you want to choose. Pivot it if required. Sometimes when things like COVID-19 happen, what can you do? So I think most important of all during the startup period is the 10 slides pitch deck that we normally use, right? So whenever we pitch this to investors, whoever, we might be using this. So go back and take a look at this 10 slide pitch deck. You've got to understand the first slide is one slide to talk about your vision. The other slides talking really about your problem statement. It's a very painful problem statement, and the target market is huge enough for the investor to really get attracted with your ideas, and to ensure that you only show one slide about your product, your unique value proposition, and your business model, how you want to get revenue out of that. And of course, looking at the situation, if you go out the market, what is your current traction? How many users? How many have paid your services? How big is your, how many people have been, how many organizations that you have served? And how do you go to market? Your marketing strategy. What channels have you been using? Your competitive analysis. You look at, a different quadrant, most likely, which quadrant that you are focusing on, and show that this is your team who are very passionate enough to work together with you, from day one. And of course, the call to action is the one slide that you ask the investor, what do you want from them? So that's why we during this period of time, until the day that we have launched in 2017, we managed to, within the next 3 years period, we managed to become a best IoT startups. Our Rakit, our middleware have been awarded with a lot of other accolades. Yeah. So these are some of the achievements that we have mentioned to you. Okay, let me share with you maybe another 10 minutes time about our journey on, this is our favorite team. Yeah. And show this about the marketing and brand positioning. Yeah, before we go for question and answers. So this thing is very important because for us, because we are very small, we are in a very big, environment, and we are very new in the market. And even at that time, if you search our company in the early days, you can't even find our company name in the first list, in the first page of Google. Yeah. So then I was thinking, hey, how can I get ourselves being attracted? How do we brand ourselves? How do we ensure that, hey, we can also give you this solution, and how to ensure that we are unique from the rest? So that is one of the things that one of the most important part. People says that the thought leader or the CEO should be one of the important face in an organization, especially the startups. Yeah. So how do I go from zero into a real thought leader, the one that Dr. Adib mentioned earlier to you? Yeah. So that was very early days. In April 17, I was being named by Analytics Report to be number 20th as the top 100 IoT thought leaders. So it was one of my staff who mentioned to this, and I was quite surprised. How does it happen? Yeah. So during that period of time, it was very early. I was in the Memo stage, and June Maria, who is our HR VP, and told me, hey, Dr. Mazlan, you are actually an IoT thought leader. So I was quite surprised. What exactly is an IT thought leader? I didn't know about that. But then I realized that the things that I've been doing so far during the period of time, I managed to get myself into that level and recognition. It started off in 2014 also. So it was started in 2014. Hold on. Okay. It started in 2014. I remember this days. In 2014, there is one event called IoT Asia. and I was thinking of to attend this event and to listen to people in that event, how they build an IoT solutions, business, or whatever, what's their vision, and so on and so forth. So I was together applied this together with my two staff, but my boss reject my application. They only allow two of my staff to attend. So I was quite frustrated because I didn't manage to get myself to attend to this event. But in 2016, I became one of the keynote speaker in that particular event. So I'm one of the earliest, one of the Malaysian people to, I think the only Malaysian people to present during that time. So to do this, there's a lot of challenges to become an IoT thought leader. So you need to be very consistent of what you do. So these are some of the things. First, you need to create your personal brand, develop and manage your own blog. You'll start and find your niche area, locate and work with influencers, build your own network, go beyond your own blog, say something new, and have this disrupted way of thinking. That's it. But all of these things, I didn't do all these things at once. So I do this, one at a time. Okay. So as you know that social media is one of the best way for you to get yourself in front of your audience. And you know that there are certain social media channels are good for certain things. So I try to use all of the social media channels, which is possible, to understand which social media channels work best for my message. So I use my own, my personal brand. So I stick with my own IoT as my area of interest. So I developed my own blog. So I created it. So now the blogs have been used read by a lot of organizations and people around the world. So I start my niche area, starting with Twitter to share my ideas, starting from 2017. Now it's 2020, even though it's not a lot, but very much focused. So you will understand that your niche area will be seen in your group. So when the people will put your name into a certain group, you will know that you are in that niche area. So in this way, I can see people are putting me in terms of influencers, for example, in thought leaders. Yeah. Then I started to share this not only from my Twitter handle, but also share this with other Twitter handles. I manage the rest of other Twitter handles. LinkedIn is one of the best area to work with, especially in the professional space, because during that time, these articles, if you write articles in LinkedIn, you will get a lot of eyeballs from professional people, and this is very important in order for you to get yourself in the network of people in your space. During the early days, there's not many people who's working on IoT. Yeah, I think in Malaysia, for example, it started only in 2014 that people are starting to Google IoT, trying to understand about IoT. Yeah, so from 2,000 people, now I've managed to get 17,000 networks of people. So build a network in other channels. So I use talks, in conferences, in events to become panel speakers, keynote speech, and so on and so forth. So I started my first IoT talk in 2012. Then from there, it just grew up, from year to year. So I've been talking about this area. Yeah, until 2020. I think one of the most important part also is to ensure that you don't keep within yourself. You need to share this knowledge to others. So sharing knowledge is important. So I use SlideShare as a means for me whenever I have make that speech, keynote talks and all that, I will place this into the SlideShare and I will share this with the rest of the people out there. And this is where you get people to be attracted to you. And again, if sometimes we see that you are quite, you feel jealous that some people manage to get themselves to be in the television, in radio, then I asked myself, if I can't be in the TV, I cannot be in the radio, I should build my own TV channel. So that's why I also created my own TV channel and put myself in, be brave to talk about this using your normal smartphone and talk and speak it out speak out your ideas and share your knowledge into the YouTube channel. So, and of course, Facebook is one of the biggest good way for you to create your own networks. My own channel is IoT World. That's my personal one, but I also created others for my own products of my company. Then I started off to write articles for other people's blog. So not only for my blogs, but other magazines have come to approach us and ask us to write articles. So then we have appeared in many magazines. So what is important is also to say something which is new and very disrupt thinking. The titles can be attracted so that people will, take a look at the title and really understand what is your thought about, in your own area of expertise. So as again, it attracted more and more media presence. Not only now I've been approached by the blog and the magazine, but also appear in Astro Awani, in RTM, and also Selangor FM. So I have appeared in their own what you call that Evolusi Technology as one of the invited speakers. So of course, all of this I've been doing that myself, but you got to understand that sometimes the CEO is not doing all these social media things, and how they put all this into the social media is actually using a tool called Buffer. If you know Buffer is a way for you to schedule your social media posting. So you put everything in, and it will allow you to schedule things regularly. So that's why people might see that, hey, Dr. Mazlan is always on social media, but in fact, I've been using Buffer to help me in scheduling my thoughts. So I'm using inbound marketing as one of the technology things. So lastly, I think we need some time for question and answers. How do we identify ourselves? So the question, when we started off our company, the name is also very important. We want the name IoT to be there. So we list out a lot of names there and choose, this is some of the names. Most likely we'll be naming ourselves differently. But why do we choose Favoriot? We see that Favoriot is talking about favorite. Favor is about making ourselves helping others. And since Favoriot.com is something which no people have registered the domain, we use that. So we choose the different names and the different colors, but finally we see that the main color is magenta. The idea for magenta is because the color, the favor is about kindness. The color of kindness is magenta. So that's why we choose favor and IoT. So the name, purpose, and color, and the right pronunciation. So this is a story that we always tell you, but people don't call it Favoriot or Favoriot. You pronounce it as a favorite. So this is your favorite company. So with that brand presence, people love to take photos with that favorite logo behind. So again, the tips to become an IoT thought leader, you must get all this, the time that you must put in, the effort that you have put in, focus on the audience that you want to do that, and of course, work hard. Reading and also sharing this with the rest of the people. So from there, you build your trust and your influence. Okay, so the idea is for them, instead of me paying a lot of other things to go out into the market, to put banners out there, but I'm doing inbound marketing where people come and approach us so that you can monetize that. Lessons learned: find the product market fit as fast as possible. Enough runway for you to fly, because as you say, as a startup, you only have certain runway and enough cash for you to even fly. Otherwise, you just go down to the revenue. Okay, the team culture is very important to have that. And of course, if you want to learn more, you should enter accelerator program, because they will tell you about the ways of a real startup. What makes the business successful? Two things. One, your innovation is one. Second part is your marketing. So with that, I would like to end my presentation. I pass back to the moderator for question and answers. Thank you. Oh, tak dengar ni. Ni.
Alright. Sorry, I always forgot my mic. Thank you so much, Dr. Mazlan, for this very exciting talk on the journey of life from academicians to the industry, to government, back to the industry, and now an entrepreneur. So I think it's a very valuable and very experiencing life of Dr. Mazlan that we can learn a lot from that. Okay, we are on our question and answer session. So for those who have question for Dr. Mazlan, you can write down there on the comment below on our Facebook. So actually, there's a lot of question already there, Dr. Mazlan. I hope I can we can have most of them. So let's go to the first question there. Salam Dr. Mazlan, since IoT device keep and store the sensitive and confidential information, is it 100% or near 100% sure to use IoT and it's safe from attacker? So what is your comment, Doctor?
Okay. I think there is some misunderstanding about IoT devices to keep data, store data. Sometimes they will keep the data, sometimes they will not, the IoT device itself. But the data will be sent, of course, to the cloud, to the platform who stores the data. And that is where most of the data will be kept. Not all the data will be kept in the own IoT devices. So the IoT devices, so there are two phases where the security comes in, the device itself. So you need to have your own authentication to make sure the security is there, maybe some encryption technique so that you cannot access the data inside the device and you cannot hack the device. So the same thing when the data is already reside in the cloud, but of course most of the clouds have their own security level. So they are well known with that and you are quite safe. The only problem is the data privacy. Privacy is mainly about your business. So either people wants to open up the data, reveal the data and sell the data off to other people, that is integrity issue. So that is about data privacy. But in terms of security-wise, when it resides in the cloud, of course, like Azure cloud and all that, you know that they are very well secure. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Mazlan. So yeah, so always IoT it's versus the privacy, right? So yeah, so this is very interesting question from Ziyan. Good afternoon, sir. Is there any challenges which make you thinking of giving up, and what motivate you to continue fighting?
Okay. You know, there are many things that sometimes that whenever you face, sometimes you feel that you want to give up. Of course, for example, one of the things is when you make presentation or pitching to the investors. So you believe in your product, you believe in your vision, you believe in your business, but when the VC doesn't believe in you, you feel that, hey, am I doing something wrong? Why the VC is not interested in me? So it's not only one or two. I presented more than 50 pitches and all that. So you get a lot of rejections. But again, you need to understand and you need to be with your peers and also read a lot. So a lot of people face a similar idea before they manage to achieve their own vision. So don't give up. So I think what motivates me for fighting is because my passion. I'm always have that passion in believe that IoT will be one day to be very big one. So you see the trend is already going. So you already gone to a certain stage where it's going to be inflection point. So we should be there. So don't fight in the early stage and then you give up along the way and other people will take your yeah.
So I believe selecting the right topic is very important, Doctor. Yeah. Persistence and entrepreneurship motivations.
Yes.
So there's another one which is also I find very interesting from Fatih Burhanuddin. Good afternoon, Doctor. May I know how you can get inspiration and idea to create your own product, Dr.?
Okay, for example, in the early phase, when we started off helping the senior citizens, we feel that, you know, always that is flash in your mind, that is there something in your life that you wish that you can help. So for example, in my case, my father, my arwah father, is that masa tu he was quite sick, but I didn't realize that he was sick. So he was when he fell down and he was hospitalized, then only later I realized that he got leukemia. So, but he was very tired during that time. He was tired taking care of my mother, and then I was thinking, you know, is there a way for me one day that I can actually monitor him, understand his health parameter, his health, so that I get alert much earlier. So the technology is already now, but it's not with during that days. So now I feel that there is such a technology, and that's one way for you to get some inspiration ideas. So I think ideas is one thing, but also the most important part is that idea really address a real pain point, and that pain point is really pain point that people willing to pay. Sometimes pain point people not willing to pay. You got to understand that. So and also when the people want willing to pay, you got to also see that the people who's going to pay have a very big market in order for you to sustain yourself in your business. If only people that are going to pay is only very small market, then you only very, you know, you only cater for very small and you cannot grow bigger. So look into a bigger market size that really have a good pain point, and then see whether the technology product can fit into that. Don't build a product and then find the market. So that's going to be a big problem.
So it's market validation is very important, Dr.
Very, very important. That's my I have to tell you, the early part of your product is market validation.
Thank you so much, Dr. So we go to the next questions regarding up and down of an entrepreneur. So Dr. Mazlan, this is from Kam Song Cheng. Dr. Mazlan, during the early days of your product R&D, how do you manage your monthly overhead costing?
Wow. During the early days, I'm quite stupid in build. I can say that, you know, I should be really taking care of the expenditure. Yeah, I think we didn't realize that in R&D work, the most part of the work is building the product, you know, before you really market it out. And the cost of building the product is quite high. But in order for you to bring it down, you have to ensure that you can attract people who have the same mindset, that their salary is not going to be very big, but they will have the same vision with you to build something which is meaningful. So I'm lucky is because all my product is software. The only hardware is, that's why I didn't design the hardware. The hardware is mainly with partners. So I reduce my costing of hardware by partnering with other people. So that will really reduce my hardware cost. So most of my thing is mainly about paying the salary for developing software application.
So it's very important to manage your cost during the early days. Huh? So we are to the next question. This is from Alvin Ria. Dr. Mazlan, what are some of the mistakes that you wish you could avoid?
Oh, many things. I think I think one of the things that we got to understand, I think, as a founder and also the CEO of a startup, we should sacrifice a lot of things. But in the early days, maybe, you know, we didn't think so much about that because we got funding in the early stage when we pump in our money. But we should avoid of spending so much on unnecessary things. Okay, for example, like, you know, too many people. Sometimes people can start from small rather than you hire too many people at one time. Yeah, and the people that normally when you hire in a startup, you normally don't hire people who have already established people in the corporate, because they don't have the same feeling, or they don't want to sacrifice themselves with all the perks that they have in the corporate organization, big organization, to become a startup. So they need to sacrifice a lot. So that's why most of the startups is built by younger people. So but younger people don't have baggage, so they have things that they can say that I can do a lot of things. I cannot, macam, people like us says that, "Oh, you cannot do this, you cannot do that," but the younger people don't have that baggage, so they feel that everything you can do. So that's good. So that's why I think I love the younger ones. So that's why most of my teams are young people. And also I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we also have faced this again and again many times about market validation. So market validation is sometimes we feel we just don't want to show this to people, and sometimes we don't want to listen to people stating that your product is something is not this, and not that. You should really listen to them, because that is what they want. So then you reiterate your product to ensure that it can cater for certain needs. Sometimes you feel that the customer don't really know what is our product is. So, but in fact they know. And thirdly is that I think we passed that one first.
I think we are running out of time, but maybe we can take one or two more. I like the comment from Dr. Mazlan just now. Young people more berani untuk mencuba, but I believe that experienced people is get more experience and know the direction more. Alright, so maybe our second last questions. This is also very interesting when shifting from academic to industry. So what is the difficulty, Doctor, that you face when you do this shifting?
Shifting from
the academic to industry, or maybe you can add up from the industry to entrepreneur.
Yeah, I think most of us in the academia world, we are a lot theoretical, and theoretical is good, but whenever you face in a real situation in the real world, things go haywire. That's where your experience come in. That might be certain options you need to look out. There are option 1, 2, 3, and 4. So sometimes when you learn in theoretical, you only know one way of doing that, and you didn't realize that when you weigh in with too many a lot of the other data that that comes in before you make that decision. So that is something that we need to really take note, and hopefully that's why you need to always talk with the industry people and get some experience from them if you don't have that. Maybe ada lagi yang boleh nak jawab ke?
Satu lagi, Doctor. Maybe last one, Doctor, because of the time.
Okay.
So this is also very interesting from students, but it's a bit long and lengthy. So Doctor, my name is Dafa Nurfal, and he's a mechanical engineering student. I would like to ask, during the difficulties time, for example, COVID and so on and so forth, what is a piece of advice to young entrepreneur who's going this tough time?
Okay, don't be very choosy in terms of your opportunity when it arrive in front of you. If you cannot, sometimes when you graduated, you might not be able to get what you want. But if the opportunity open up in front of you, and you might be working with other people's, or you might be opening up your own business, whatever other opportunities, do it, because time is really in essence. So you need to use the time, use that to gain a lot of experience, because what I feel is that experience is something that you can't gain by just sleeping it out, but you need to work it out to get and face the challenge out there. So don't worry. I think you might not face as big challenge as people like me who already at 50s or 60s. This already took in the very late stage. You are very early, so you can fail a lot. It doesn't matter, because you will learn from that failure.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mazlan. So I think that's all the time that we have. Time is moving so fast, Dr. Mazlan. So unfortunately,
sorry for giving a long, lengthy presentation just now.
No, I think it's very informative, and we appreciate it so much. And but unfortunately, we are now at the end of our session. And maybe any last word from Dr. Mazlan to our students as well as to our viewers today?
Okay, I think like any startup, if sometimes you have your own dream, right? Building startups is not an easy path, but you have your own dream. Rather than allowing other people to build your dream, might as well you build your own dream by yourself. So the idea is go out there. If you have that dream, be passionate enough and not to give up. All right. Thank you for the
Thank you
invitation.
so much, Dr. Mazlan. So it's a very nice talk. Thank you for all the viewers for attending the talk or webinar. So Dr. Mazlan, we are at the end, but we're gonna put you on the backstage. So don't hang out first. So this is very much a fruitful sharing. So on behalf of UTMXcite, I would like to thank Dr. Mazlan, CEO of Favoriot Sdn Bhd, for this very fruitful session. We hope to see you again in the future. With that, I end the session and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to all. Thank
Thank
you.
you.